Hi, this is Andrew from the Literary Gladiators, and I have a book haul from the Book Garden in Cream Ridge. And Josh from this channel has done a few book hauls from there, and that gave me the idea to check them out. And I visited there early part of the summer, and I've been pretty regular there, and I've come across some incredible finds. And when you go there, be prepared to. Yeah, nothing. Actually, nothing can prepare you for what's there. There's like thousands collections, antiques, out of print, new and used. There's the owner George is just a fantastic, genial, affable gentleman who's always eager to talk to you and learn about your interests and talk to you about the book biz. And yeah, I can see myself visiting there sometime just to talk to him, just because he's extremely knowledgeable. When you see the volumes and vastness of all that they've acquired, it's something else. So I'm gonna get started because I have a lot, as always happens, and just to illustrate the credo of the literary gladiators: if it's written work, it's game. And I got is a pretty good book of chess openings. About a year into chess, and there's a lot of good things I learned here, like the good and bad bishops, which might be common knowledge. But yeah, this is helping me out in my chess game. So yeah, I was happy with this, and I'm not going to really talk about this too much. But this was something that recently was missing in my library. I don't know if it was because of a move or an ex-girlfriend ended up with it, but yeah, they had a near mint copy of Jaws, and it's my favorite film, so I needed to have it. I read this in full in one sitting. It wasn't bad. Ken Eulo's Nocturnal. He's actually a Eugene O'Neill playwright, and he decided to give the mass market horror novel writing a go after reading Amityville Horror, and he knocked out a trilogy of haunted house books. That I think it was the Hearthstone, the Bloodstone, and the Deathstone. But this was the first departure from that. The main character, Rose Carpenter, has horrible dreams of people being murdered, and they only increase once she becomes involved with a Jack Squadron, who's a married composer, and she sees this doctor, Reese Cinderella, about that, and they only the murders and everything start to gain in frequency and lurid detail. So that alone really isn't enough to sustain a book. And at a point, I started to think that's all this was. But there's no jumps and turns in this, with the exception at the end. And I'd like to spoil it, but if anybody does read this, it's just kind of a satisfying twist at the end. All I'll say at this point is Nocturnal would be a lot better with an alternate title of Cinderella's Psychic Experiment. So it was pretty good. And the next book that I read in full is Drake Douglas's Creature, and I bought this on cover alone, only because it struck the John Carpenter's The Thing in me, so I kind of needed to get it. However, the creature that this so erroneously is alluding to is actually Frankenstein's monster. Mike, the main character, suffers a horrible bout of ennui and takes a trip to Austria, where in a castle he comes across Frankenstein's monster. It sounds as exciting, but the book wasn't that bad. After he met the monster, a lot of murders start taking place, and then his brother decides to try to find him and also look into these murders, where there's a second creature who's also famous. Not Dracula or the Wolfman, but I guess I'll leave that up in the air. But yeah, the creature, it wasn't bad. It was a good time. Good time reading that. And I got another Drake Douglas book. I don't know if I've already said this, but I may have. But if you go to the book garden, there is a lot of holes in the horror paperback section, and it's because I bought most of them. And the Undertow, also from him. And if this is any indicator from the creature, it says, from the depths of an ocean grave, a tide of evil claims its helpless victims. I'm thinking it might be Lovecraft, which would be a boon, but we'll see what happens there. I was excited to get this. I think this is his last published book. Robert Bloch, most people know him as the author of Psycho. To me, more importantly, he's the main character in Lovecraft's Haunter of the Dark. This wasn't so great. Laurie graduates college and comes home to find her house burned down and her parents dead. And at the same time, she finds something in a yearbook that reveals to her that she isn't exactly who she thinks she is. And then at the same time, a stalker's on her case. That sounds on the surface like it'd be a great book, but I don't know. I didn't. Maybe, yeah, I don't know. It wasn't. I wish I liked this a little bit better, but it reads fast, and I don't regret reading it. But that was that. This is the gem that I've picked up from the book garden. It's out of print. It's T.E.D. Klein's The Ceremonies. I read this from cover to cover and parsed every sentence and researched the etymology of all names and places. I may in the future, I think I will, do a video on this and the events of Porth Farms, just because, if I start talking about this, it's a totally different show. But T.E.D. Klein is, he's a writer who kind of just is right there below the surface, and he doesn't get as much recognition as he should. And follow this under literature. If anybody wants to talk to me about it, you can ask a question or say something about it in the comments, or maybe we could exchange email addresses. But this is something cross-references lots of literature and conflates the narrative. So that was a gem. This is on my TBR list. The Tribe by Bari Wood, spelled with an I. I bought it for cover alone because this is the 80s style of paperbacks. where there's something on the cover, but there's a cutout and it reveals more on the inside. But I bought this because of its stark, minimal cover. I keep thinking the Velvet Underground's White Light, White Heat when I see this for some reason. But yeah, I love how it's almost like an inchoate face, and just like when you open it up, it's not much more. It's still like kind of a minimal. So I'm excited about reading this. I've never heard of Barry Wood, and yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what that's all about. Also, besides discovering the book garden early on this summer, I finally got around to reading Dune from cover to cover, and I'm a fan. This, I just brought it up just to show I read Dune. I bought this from Barnes & Noble, but it's one of the best looking books I own. It has the gilded pages and everything, but yeah, not part of the haul, but I read that, and I have continued into the geopolitical landscape of Dune. The book following Dune was Dune Messiah, where Paul Atreides, as his now his role as Muad'Dib, is rules Arrakis, and I didn't. There's four proper books after Dune, and I think God Emperor Dune. Yeah, it's book 4. This is when people and the sandworms start to genetically evolve together. It's like 3,500 years past Messiah. Yeah, there's a lot of yeah, unless you're a Dune fan, I'm not going to get into this, but such a vast world of nomenclature and worlds, and I can say now that I fully understand David Lynch's film. I thought I knew it, but you know, there were certain things like Aaliyah's little dance after the fight. I didn't. Why'd she have a knife? What was she doing? But I read the book and I kind of figured it out. But it felt like I had more, but I think I've just really just gave a quick brief run of what I read. But I will be going back, and yeah, there's still more copies, surprisingly, of Frank Herbert. There's a Frank Herbert shelf, and those holes are from me, so I'm sorry, but I'm also kind of proud of it. But and they also continually get new books, so you should check it out, and there's no way you'll be sorry. Thank you.